This is Ralph Allen Lee, also known as Shorty, a former politician and businessman. Things took a dark turn for this member of the Republican Party, who got convicted on felonious sex offender charges. But how did he land in this situation and get exposed by the long arm of law for his sinister nature? This is the story of an American senator who abused his position and power to play with the lives of innocent children, getting himself behind bars.
Senator Shortey used the word distraction as a reason he is stepping down from office. And you may remember this comes just days after the Oklahoma Senate voted to suspend him from office.
Shorty was born in Casper, Wyoming on February 16, 1982, and grew up partly on the Rosebud Indian Reservation in South Dakota before moving to Oklahoma. His lawyer mentioned that he experienced poverty and abuse during his childhood, including being shot by his brother at age 3. He graduated from Westmore High School in 2000 and attended Heartland Baptist Bible College in Oklahoma City. It is considered that child abuse at an early age can have profound and lasting effects on a person's psychological development, leading to a range of negative outcomes, including the development of a sinister attitude, which probably was seen in the case of Shorty.
Yeah, you know, not a lot of people know it because I don't really look it, but I'm actually half Sioux, and I grew up in South Dakota. I was born in Wyoming and spent the first few years of my life on the Rosebud Sioux Reservation in southern South Dakota, and so I have a bit of a unique perspective, you know, when it comes to oh my goodness, the different kinds of living than you have in Oklahoma. You know, my mother moved me down here when I was 7 years old, and I saw a tall building for the first time. It freaked me out. I mean, it was terrifying. And, you know, people look at Oklahoma City and think, oh, you know, it's a little tiny place. Not a little tiny when you grew up in a neighborhood of, you know, 7 houses for miles and miles and miles. So I really loved it up there and really loved my roots and my culture. But it's just fortuitous that my mother chose Oklahoma of all places, because I get it just as much here. You know, if I want to go see a powwow, there's 100 of them going on all the time. So it's really nice. But that's kind of where I came from, and ended up in Oklahoma and just absolutely love this place. It's definitely my home.
He started in the oil and gas business. Around 2002, he got into politics, joining in with a bunch of Republican campaigns. Then in 2014, he set up a company called Precision Strategy Group, which was all about Republican politics. They made around $300,000 doing stuff like consulting and surveys. According to court papers, Shorty had some money problems before he got into the Senate, like being kicked out of a place, getting sued for debts, and having his house taken by the bank. As far as 2016, he was part owner of a coffee joint in the south part of Oklahoma City.
You know, the young man I was with, I know has, you know, I've known him for, we've been talking, he's come to the coffee shop that I operate a couple times. Shoot, I've even had him over to my house, play video games before. Had no idea, told me when I first met him that he was 20.
In 2010, he got into the Senate. He talked a lot about family values when he was running. The Senate District 44 didn't have an incumbent because the one before Debbie Leftwich wasn't running again because of some trouble she was in. He beat James Davenport, who owned a martial arts studio and used to work for a county commissioner. In the big election in November, Shorty beat Randy Rose, who used to be a firefighter. Shorty got 57% of the votes, while Rose got 43%.
We have State Senator Ralph Shortey. Thank you so much for being along.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you have introduced a bill wanting to change the language in state questions 780 and 781. Why?
Well, I've got 5 major concerns that I've outlined at a town hall last night. The major concern that I have with state question 780, you know, the voters were very clear in the ballot measure that they wanted to downgrade some of the possession charges from felonies to misdemeanors. But also, in part of that, we completely removed the section of the law that makes it a felony to have drugs on school grounds, for instance, and playgrounds and parks, and then also to use drugs in the presence of a minor child under the age of 12.
In 2014, Shorty got reelected, beating a Democrat named Michael Brooks Jimenez, who was a lawyer. Shorty got 52% of the votes, and Brooks Jimenez got 42%. Then in 2017, after Shorty left, Brooks Jimenez ran again in a special election and won with 54% of the votes. While all this was happening, no one was aware of the true nature of Ralph Shortey, who has kept his true identity hidden for decades. and it was soon for him to be in front of all his evil actions.
I believe, based on Mr. Shortey's tragic background, that the judge did the right thing and showed him some leniency.
But if everything was going smoothly, what happened that led to Ralph Shortey being convicted on such a lengthy sentence? In March 2017, a dad called the police in Moortown because he was concerned about his 17-year-old son. He told them his son was staying at the Super 8 motel around 12:30 a.m. The police went there to make sure the son was okay.
He's either here for narcotics or prostitution for narcotics.
Kids prostituting himself out? That's strong.
Smells like some hydro in there.
Go open up the door so we can talk to you. What we are worried about is you having a juvenile in there.
At that time, the officer had no idea he was dealing with 35-year-old Senator Ralph Shortey, a Republican from the Oklahoma Senate. Instead, the officers were confused, trying to understand why this man was with a teenager inside a motel in the middle of the night. Shortey was arrested after police found him in a suburban Oklahoma City motel room with a then 17-year-old boy when they went to the motel and said they smelled marijuana coming from the room. Police accused the married father of 4 of hiring the teen for sex. But a few days later, before the pressing of the charges, they were both brought in for questioning separately. What unfolded during the interrogation was profoundly unsettling.
Easier just to get him a place, and then we decided to talk.
Okay. So, how do you text him, or how do y'all communicate?
Usually phone calls.
Phone calls? Okay.
Senator Shortey denied being Jamie Tilley on Craigslist and claimed he didn't chat with the teenager online. But the police had solid evidence, including a witness who remembered everything that occurred.
A witness that put you there. When you say,
I absolutely picked him up.
when you say I'm here, the witness is waiting down the street because she thought it was jacked up. She thought it was jacked up that he wouldn't tell her where he was going or anything like that. So she sits down the street and waits. And then she sees him go into the Super 8 hotel with you, and then she gets scared and wondering what the heck's going on, so she calls the police, or calls his dad, and who in turn calls us.
He continued to deny his activities, yet the FBI additionally found that Senator Ralph had been doing this for quite some time. He had utilized counterfeit names to send and get erotic entertainment and go on Craigslist to track down these young fellows. As per Shortey, the more youthful the better.
That you went online or had an online identity of Jamie. That's it. You didn't say Tilly, the last one, but you said Jamie.
The legitimate age of assent in the province of Oklahoma is 16. However, under state regulation, taking part in prostitution with anybody under 18 is unlawful, and even though Congressperson Shortey claims he didn't have the foggiest idea about the kid's genuine age, the police didn't trust him.
I try to convince you otherwise unless I have something to show you, and I just don't know.
I find it hard to believe that you magically lost your phone on the way over here as well.
It's not the first time, sir.
Well, and just look at it. Okay, take all this crap in this conversation that we've had out of it. All right. So just put yourself in my shoes. Okay. So you got a guy who gets caught in a room with a minor, or in a hotel room with a minor.
There was no chance to get out for Senator Shortey, and in June 2018, examiners uncovered that he had been intimate with a minor 2 times. Before they were viewed together last in September 2018, he was condemned to a total of 15 years in jail on a child sex trafficking charge and 10 years of managed or supervised discharge.
That doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means you made a bad decision. It's not the end of the world.
And if I can't prove otherwise, that it is the end of the world. And I can't think of any other proof that I can show you.
There's nothing, because there's no. I mean,
there absolutely would be. If
what we have is the truth.
If I had phone calls, or if I had.
But you don't, because they don't exist. What we have is the truth. You know it. You know that's
I
why
never would have thought to have to record a phone call or anything with a guy. I mean,
It was recorded. That's what we've got pictures of. The conversation was recorded. I mean, That is so clearly you. You and I both know that's you. Anyone we show that to is going to know that's you.
As I take that responsibility seriously, I recognize that the charges against me are a distraction to their interests and the remaining legislative session, which serves all Oklahomans.
State Senator Ralph Shortey from Oklahoma stepped down from his position after being suspended and arrested. He said the charges against him were causing problems and making it hard to focus on his job and the needs of the people he represented. Shortey thanked everyone for the chance to serve, but emphasized that he needed to step aside. He also asked for privacy as he dealt with the legal issues he was facing.
My resignation is evidence of my respect for public service and the duties of our elected officials.
Ralph Shortey got 15 years in prison, not life like he could have. The judge considered his tough upbringing. Shortey's lawyer thought it was fair. Shortey's past includes abuse and poverty. He apologized and spoke about his family's pain. He hoped to see his kids and get treatment. Shortey's lawyer thought the public should see politicians as individuals. They believed the prosecution made the case more public than necessary. Shortey did end up going to a facility for sex offenders. He will serve 85% of his sentence and be on probation for 10 years after. There's still a hearing about restitution. But the senator started his sentence in Grady County Jail.